All right. Welcome to the 15th annual Bushwick Film Festival Metaverse Experience presented by Lowkey Giant. My name is Rah Crawford. I'm the creative director for the Bushwick Film Festival and also the founder of Lowkey Giant. And we're really excited about our partnership in exploring Web3 and crypto creative culture. I have very special guests with me today, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Maybe we'll start with Nuzayra. Say hello and tell us about you.
Oh, hi everyone. Rah, thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute honor, and I can't wait to talk about characters and collectibles. But I wanted to say hi and introduce myself. So, everyone watching, my name is Nuzayra. I'm an intellectual property and business attorney. I'm based out of sunny Los Angeles. I work with NFT creators and also creators on the blockchain space on protecting and scaling their IP asset portfolio. So I know that sounds like a lot of like legal mumbo jumbo, but basically, to keep it simple, I help NFT creators and Web3 creators in general protect their brand and their content, and also help them get into licensing deals, advise them on how to add additional revenue channels to their business, how to stay compliant, what kind of contracts they need. So, in a nutshell, I'm kind of like their legal genie in a way. So I help navigate them through this legal process.
Amazing. So important and definitely needed. Gabriel, introduce yourself, please.
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Gabriel. First, thanks again, for the invitation. It's great to be here as well. And I'm the founder and CEO of Haque. We are an animation studio specialized in CGI here in the south of Brazil, okay, in a city called Porto Alegre, in the rainy Porto Alegre. And we've been working with animation and especially like computer graphics almost 20 years. We migrate from the advertising industry to the entertainment one. So since 2014, we've been working on animated series, animated feature films, and we came up with a project that we did like 10 years ago. It was like our first short and our first experience in the entertainment industry. That was Ad. It was like a 40-minute short. And almost like 10 years later, with like the borning of like the Web3 and NFTs, we saw like a great opportunities, especially in the film industry, to try to bring again this story, in a bigger way.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So when we think about collectibles, I actually looked this up today. So global collectibles, the industry is estimated at $370 billion and rising. So that's amazing when you think about collectibles. So back in the day, I personally collected comic books. That was like my thing. I had a couple of number ones. Did you guys collect anything growing up, or do you collect anything now?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to collect books. So that was something that I really enjoyed. I was a big Anne Rice fan. Anne Rice is the creator of Interview with the Vampire, all those vampire novels. So I used to love collecting her books. And also, I had a weird fascination for Beauty and the Beast. So everywhere I went, if I was visiting a new country, and if I saw like anything to do with Beauty and the Beast, if they had any kind of merch, I would like to collect them. And yeah, I had a little collection, and I just liked to see that, in every different country, they would have like a slightly different take on what Beauty and the Beast would be. It's like one of my favorite Disney stories. So yeah, those are some of the things that I used to collect as a kid. Let's see, what do I collect as a grown up? I think as a grown up, I like to collect perfume bottles. So if I really like the shape of a perfume bottle, that is something that I'll keep. I won't, like, even if the perfume's finished, like I won't throw it away. Like a great example is the Carolina Herrera Good Girl perfume. It has the shape of a stiletto. So that's a pretty unique bottle. So those are some things I like to collect as a grown-up.
That's cool. Gabriel, how about you?
Well, I think I started collecting together with my father. My father like collected everything, you know, like from coins, from stamps, you know. And I think my first experience was like with like old coins, you know. And when I was a kid to teenager, you know, I started collecting from my soccer team shirt, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very common here in Brazil, like if you are like a
Mhm.
soccer fan, to have like different shirts of your team, you know. So that was one of my great collections. And I think like in a adult life, I loved comic book as well. You know, I don't have like a big collection, but strangely, I started collecting like badges from the events that I've been, you know. So like I have a
Mm.
closet full of badges. I don't badges, you know, like I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but I try to bring it on, you know. So it's over there in my closet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I think, so it's definitely proven as humans, we collect things, right? Whether it's stones, if it's forks, with perfume bottles, whatever it is, we collect things. It's a natural part of that. And so with this new Web3 technology, we're still collecting, right? Collecting digital assets, but there's this whole huge word called utility, right? That's being added on to that. And so, we all describe the soccer shirts, the perfume bottles are beautiful, the Beauty and the Beast things and your comic books, whatever those things are, we collect those things because we love them. And if someone offers us a higher value for them, we can trade it, right? So we can chill and
Mhm.
then we can exchange. But with NFTs, Web3, and blockchain, there's so much utility. Let's talk about different examples. Maybe we'll start with you, Gabriel. Let's talk about, utility. You have an NFT offering that'll be coming up soon with your character, Ed. What kind of utility are you adding into that NFT offer?
That's a great question, Ra. You know that even though we worked a lot to make like a very beautiful art for our NFTs, utility is like the key, to have like a success and to engage community, And in on our side, what we thought that could be interesting, it's like to join the community and make them like part of the production of the film, or try to follow, everything that we are doing, and so part of the utility of our NFTs is like exchange. For example, your NFT will be like will appear in the movie. We have even like your name could be on one of the characters. We have other things. You can even put like branded content inside of the movie. Like you can put like your name in the background in the name of like a fast food restaurant, this kind of stuff, And here, for example, in Brazil, we are trying to launch a different collection just for Brazilians, for example, for discount on movie theater tickets, for example, other kinds that they can use locally, for example, some discount on some companies of action figures, So we try to bring more, value to these NFTs, not only trying to do this inside of the film, but something that can aggregate value to our community as well, and that they see that could be interesting for them.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so everybody's excited. We're jumping in this Web3 thing. We need some professional perspective here, all right, Nuzayra? So everyone's like, so you have the kid's jumping up on his home computer. He's making NFTs. He's launching it. All these things are firing off. They're seeing what the professionals are doing over here. Like with Gabriel's, you can get this NFT. You can help shape the craft, the story. You can insert your actual IP and content in this. How do we understand this as far as the breakdown, and what are the basic things someone should know from a legal perspective in this, Nuzayra?
Yeah, absolutely. So with any NFT or Web3 project, there are a lot of moving parts. But one of the key things that's that's more or less present in every NFT or Web3 project is IP. Because essentially what you're creating, buying, and selling is a bundle of IP rights. So for every creator, if you don't understand anything else, you need to know your basic intellectual property rights. Because if you don't know that, that is not going to become a business. It can be like a one hit type of a thing where you're successful and you're doing great. But if you don't understand what your assets are, how you can leverage them, then that's not really a viable business. That's more like a hobby that you got lucky with. So when we are talking about launching NFT collections with beautiful art, unique designs, anything like that, the key focus has to be on copyright, on your intellectual property. The concept that, okay, if you're launching the NFT project, is that your artwork? Are you hiring other people to create that artwork for you? If so, you have to know that, okay, do you want them to retain the rights to what they've just created? Or you as the owner who's hired all these people, who's bringing this project together, do you want to own the rights to it? And also the pros and cons. You know, what is your aim behind a decision that would leave the rights to the original creators, which is the artist, versus what are you trying to accomplish if you're transferring all of the rights to yourself? So there's all of these conversations that artists and creators need to have, because there's no right or wrong answer. One of the easiest things you can do is, obviously, as a creator, as a project owner, something that I tell my clients is, look, the easiest thing is you just get all of the rights transferred to you, because then you can do whatever you want with it. Now these are your assets. You don't have to go back to the artist every time you want to make a business decision and ask them, is it okay if we use your art for this? You don't have to do all of that. So that is, that's one way of looking at it. But then there are other project creators who want to give the artist an equity in the project. They don't want the artist to feel just like hired help. They want the artist to give more than just the bare minimum. So they want them to have a percentage of the equity, or they want to repeat them with the rights. So there are all of these conversations that needs to happen. And these need to happen before you launch. Once you launch, it's out there. No discussion has been made with the rights, and someone can easily come and shut it down. And this has sadly happened to a client of mine. That's when he came to me. He had hired these artists to do the artwork for their NFT project. They were handling the marketing and the ops and all of the other aspects. And right before they were going to launch, a week before their mint date, the artists, I think they did a Google search, because they had heard some things here and there. They did a Google search, and they find out that because they're not W-2 employees, they were contractors that were hired, they own the rights to the work, even though they were already paid for it. So they came back to my client and said, hey, guess what we found out? This is super interesting. So if we don't want you to launch your project on this date, if we tell you you can't use our artwork, that's it, you cannot use that artwork. And if my client went ahead and did the launch, the artwork was up on OpenSea, these artists, they just needed to hire a good lawyer who would just present an IP violation claim to OpenSea, and they could take the entire collection down. And that's huge. There goes that's your NFT project. It's done. And it's not just OpenSea. Any respectable platform like Rarible would do the same. They don't want to get in the middle of an IP dispute. They would just take the collection down. So sometimes when creators are launching, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of passion, obviously, and that's needed. But these are some of the crucial things. These are like your bare essentials. You need to get it squared out. And then you have a successful launch, like have a conversation with your team members about how the rights are going to be divided, put it in a contract so everyone feels safe and protected. They know no one's being taken for a ride. Get those contracts signed, and then go ahead and launch your project.
Amazing, super helpful, super helpful. Gabriel, so I know, in your industry, I'm sure you're very familiar with contracts and IP. You're dealing with some of the, largest media entertainment companies in the world. So now that you are also working with smart contracts, and your relationships with attorneys, how do you feel about smart contracts now entering in as well?
Well, I think we are just in the beginning, especially in the film industry, you know, that I'm talking in the beginning of a big revolution, you know. There is a lot of companies, for example, we've been talking with Film Chain. It's a startup in London, you know, that can handle all the revenues from the film distribution directly from everyone that worked on that project, you know, through blockchain, you know. So there is a lot of possibilities, you know, and even for us, I think for indie producers, you know, the major advantage, I think, from the Web3, you know, more than smart contracts, I think it's the whole network and the whole technology of blockchain, you know, that can even cut the middleman and even the distributors, you know. So that could be like a link directly, you know, from the producers to their audience, you know. And more we're gonna see new startups growing in this ecosystem, you know, bringing new ways to cut bureaucracy, you know, and to be more confident doing this kind of smart contracts. We are still open on our project. We are trying to close a deal with a platform that can handle everything, you know, like from the smart contract through the usage of NFTs, you know. And another thing that we've been seeing in some projects, and that's it's very difficult for us, you know, because a lot of projects, especially for feature films, it's like to give like the part of the revenue through the NFT owners. And there are some issues. I think Nuzayra can tell better than me about this, but we've been researching and facing some issues. It's not so simple like that. Just like do a feature film and like everyone that's bought like an NFT gonna have like part of like the profit or the revenues, you know. So this is something that we've been talking with some companies. It's not so simple, you know, to solve. But I'm pretty sure, like in the near future, we're gonna have like simple, you know, solutions to this kind of issues that we face today. But I can assure you, that it's still a lot of bureaucracy doing contracts with like major companies, you know, and that have some prejudice to small producers.
Yeah, I can imagine. So Nuzayra, so you know, you being a professional at doing IRL contracts, right? We'll just call them that. And now smart contracts. How are they coming together in your profession? How are you working with them? How are you doing the dance between both?
So smart contracts are kind of a mix between coding and then legal drafting. So we work with developers. The project creators will sync us up with the developer because that's what's important. So, you know, as you know, with the smart contract, it's essentially the developer has to code it in a certain way so that when certain things happens, it triggers transactions and a sale will happen, money is going to be deposited in a certain wallet. But that's not all what a smart contract does. You can actually set it up to do really smart things, as the name suggests. So one of the things we try to do with my clients is we want to be very clear about what is the outcome that they want. Because a lot of NFT projects, initially, they would come to us as just project creators by themselves. They're pulling in their money. But lately, we've seen investor-backed NFT projects, and they're thinking more on a larger scale. They want to eventually, their goal is to eventually sell that project maybe to a major brand. So they're very, very cognizant about all of the trademarks, copyrights that they want to create. So because they're already investor-backed, these investors want a return on their investment, just like you would do in a startup company. So in IRL, you would have written contracts, which are investor contracts, and you know that, okay, when the company hits a certain revenue goal, this investor is getting an X amount of his money back. So what we do now is it's still in IRL contracts. So you will still execute a proper investor contract because you need that as backup. And then next step is to put that in the smart contract in a way. So you structure it that, okay, when an NFT project, say, hits $10,000 in sales, let's just take that as a benchmark. As soon as it hits $10,000 in sales, every next sale that happens on that project afterward automatically gets divvied up. So a part of the proceeds will go to the main creator's wallet. And then you can also set up the smart contract in a way where that investor now has his smart contract set up. So he gets an automatic percentage split of every sale that's happening. And so it's a process where both the legal team and the developers have to work hand in hand. So there's no confusion because it's a lot of money being exchanged, a lot of money exchanging, going through different wallets. And yeah, you just have to have a contract which is clearly written out in normal plain English or any other language, whatever jurisdiction it's under. You want to have that written out, and then you take that, you give it to the developer. Obviously, they're going to look at you like you're speaking Latin to them. They'll be like, "What is this?" So then you just make a different copy for the developer, just bullet points. This is what we want in the smart contract. And you can add that as an exhibit or an attachment to the main contract. So it's still a legally binding agreement. Now it's just getting operated on the blockchain instead of, sending money through conventional bank accounts.
That is absolutely amazing. Love it, love it. Thank you for those insights. And so this, we're talking about, again, the title of this panel is Story, Characters, and Content as Collectibles, right? Because now you can collect it all, right? And I think we're seeing examples of that. Gabriel, as you said, the story aspect, if there's some way, you can actually have input and shape the narrative. You have the character itself, Ed, in your case, you actually can collect that as an NFT. Then you have the additional pieces of content around as the collectibles. So it seems like, am I correct in saying, Gabriel, that, with this Web3 technology, you're looking to completely immerse the fan or the end user into the entire world of the story and actually getting the driver's seat a little bit, right? And drive this story, if you will. Can you speak to that a little bit more? Why is that important to you, and when did you come up with that idea?
Perfect. You know that we always worked with 3D. That's like one of our DNA since like the advertising industry. And before all of this Web3, we always trade like digital models in 3D, but in a different way, because you make a copy. When you send to someone, you just send a copy. So like we bought a lot of digital models to use on our production. We sell a lot, but when it came NFT, okay, this is a unique piece. This is an original one, and more than this, Web3 is bringing on, and I think this metaverse spaces and everything else. And one of the things that we really want to do is, like, for example, when we have like a shot for Ed, like entering in his house, for example, we want to record this action, and we can, through like Unreal Engine, for example, export this to a web, and we grab together, for example, a meeting with our community in that living room, everyone watching the same shot, and we can even discuss about this scene. And this is gonna be like some real things of maybe production in the future, like led by community. Of course, we need to know what are the boundaries that everyone can interfere, in a creativity, So we have some different parts that, okay, someone just are trying to look, some other people like to suggest, and we are trying to do this. We have a plan in the future, maybe to have like a DAO, and to have a group, the community that can decide, even if we finish the movie, what we can do more regarding this IP,
It seems like we're definitely moving toward that collaborative creation, across the board. You know, again, with smart contracts we needed, and Nuzayra, like I could see you helping to craft some of these. You know, some of these. What do creators? You know, what are some like immediate tips, Nuzayra? Again, because you know we're in this space, everyone's excited, everyone's creating, and they're just like
Yeah.
throwing things, right? So, what are some basic tips? Because a lot of people may not necessarily have the bankroll to jump right out of the gate and grab an attorney. I know you're working on some things, you know, some kind of templates or something. So, give us some
Yeah.
information that can kind of help or inspire these new creators coming out the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for folks who are absolutely new, you have no idea where to start from, I would say at the very least, book a consultation with an attorney. So that is going to give you a really good idea. And when you book a consult with an attorney, they're honestly going to give you a roadmap, depending on if that attorney knows what they're talking about. So you want to book a consult with an attorney that specializes in the area. So you also have a head start. So say if you're thinking about a project now, you're not going to launch tomorrow. You might launch a couple of months down the line. But if you talk to an attorney and just tell them, like, this is my plan, this is what I want to do, what do I need? What do I need to be aware of? This attorney is probably going to give you a list of bullet points. They'll be like, okay, you first need to set up your company. You want to do this under your name because you have an entire team. You're thinking of raising funding. So you want to set up a company. Second, you want to be very clear. Are you doing this artwork? Are you able to do the artwork? Then this is what you need, X, Y, Z. So if you have that kind of like a breakdown, it's almost like a roadmap that you can just keep it in front of you and then you can make better decisions. Like, okay, this seems like a lot of hassle. Like for someone, if they're trying to launch like a token as part of their project, this automatically huge red flags because it's a security issue. Now you're going into a different area of law where you need very intense research to make sure what you're offering is not a security or is it a security. And a lot of the times creators will realize that they're like, oh no, it's just a native token. It doesn't really have monetary value. Yes, but if people collect it, can they use it to get something from your platform? If the answer is yes, then it has some value. So, you know, all of these concerns that you can have later down the line, I feel that if you are completely clueless, don't know where to start, that is a great way to start. Just to talk to someone, you don't have to hire them for any services, but you at least get 1 hour of their time and they're telling you this is what you need. So now you go ahead and then you can make your plans accordingly. And if you are, you know, thinking of raising funding, a lot of the times that funding can be used towards legal as well. And then you just use that funding towards legal, expense it as business expenses, get that tax break from the IRS, you know, make it work for. I feel like that is something that creators also need to understand is legal and business expenses, you get a tax write-off. And if you don't spend that money, you have to give that money to the IRS anyway. So just get the roadmap, allocate a budget, and when you're ready, then you go to an attorney. And the other thing is, you don't have to do everything all at once. If an attorney tells you you need to do 20 things all at once, they're either just saying this because you have a very tight deadline to launch, and you don't need to do that. Just take it one step at a time and you'll be good.
That's amazing. Well said. Perfect. Well, you know, again, I want to thank you both for taking the time to chat with us. You know, Gabriel, again, you guys are pioneering the field in the industry, and some of those. It's really great that you guys are smaller, so you can move quick and you can do projects like this. For Ed, we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for that and supporting you guys with that. Appreciate it, Nuzayra. Thank you for everything you're kind of soaking up the game and learning and helping all of these creators just jumping into space. This is really, really awesome. Thank you guys both for making time today to talk with us.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right, all right.
Thank you very much. It was great to be here.